Can we start? Okay. So basically, we were focusing on the process of creating the Linux servers. Remember? Today, we'll try to wind it up so that we can start the practical part of Linux. So basically, to start DevOps, we need to have a Linux server. I told you that this Linux server can be created on your personal computer, and that we are doing with the help of a tool called as Vagrant. This we have covered. Similarly, if you want, you can also depend on the cloud. In cloud, in the last class, we have created on the AWS cloud. Remember, on AWS cloud, how did you create with the help of a service called as EC2? Now, today, what we will do is on the cloud, we will see how you can create it on the Azure and how you can create it on the GCP. Okay, on Azure, people call this as a VM. Here you are calling it as a EC2 instance. Here we call it as a VM, virtual machine. On GCP, we call it as a VM instance. But all of them are Linux servers. They are just different names given to the same thing. Okay. Now, if you want to create it on the, see, I mean, though I'm showing you all these things, most of the students don't prefer to go with the last one, the GCP part. You know what is the reason? The Google Cloud account will be activated only if you have auto debit facility in your bank account. Which means on AWS and Azure, if you are using some services, they will just raise an invoice saying this much money you have to pay. In case you don't pay that money, they will block your account. But on Google Cloud, that is not the case. They'll directly take money from your account. So they will expect that at the level of your bank, that auto debit facility should be enabled. So though I'm showing everything, I recommend you either stick to AWS or Azure. Don't go into the Google Cloud at this point of time. Okay, fine. Anyhow, how to create the server on the Google Cloud? Let me show you. You need to sign up for a GCP account. This account is free for 90 days. After 90 days, this billing starts automatically. Okay, but first 90 days, it's free. You just need to log in into your Gmail account in one tab, and then you open Google Cloud Console in another tab. See? Yes, yesterday's class, we have seen the home page of AWS, EC2 and all those things were there. This is the home page of your Google Cloud. Here on the left corner, you will find those three navigation bars, right? There you search for a component called as compute engine. And in compute engine, you have another component called as virtual machines. Just click on virtual machines. See, it's very simple. All I need to do is click on create instance. And they are asking you, okay, this is the name of the instance. If you want, you can change it. I will call my server as server 1. It's getting created in which location? Iowa. Iowa. Yeah. You can change it to whichever location. For example, I want to create in North Virginia. Like AWS, you are here also, you have the same feature. You can change it. Okay. And then the default hardware configurations they have selected is low cost day-to-day computing. Just go with that only. And that machine is coming with 2 CPUs, that to 1 core and 4 GB of memory. If you want, you can just click on advanced configurations and you can make settings to these configurations. But otherwise, this is generally sufficient for our requirement. Okay. Simply click on create. Do you notice it's creating a Debian Linux? Debian Linux is similar to your Ubuntu Linux. Okay. If you want, you can just highlight that and you can change those things also. Instead of Debian Linux, something else you want, all those things you can give. I can just click on change and see, this is the Debian Linux they have by default selected. Debian is just a flavor of Linux. Out of the flavors that are available, you can use whichever you want. So I'll just say select and click on create. It just takes 1 or 2 minutes time. And you see a server is getting created with a name called as server 1, where it's getting created on the Google Cloud. So we just need to wait for a little while. Okay, you see the server is already ready. Now, how do you connect to that server? All I need to do is just click on this downward arrow and I will say open in a browser window. You see, the command prompt of your Linux machine is automatically opening, and whatever Linux commands I'm going to teach you, you can start practicing those commands here. Click on authorize. It just takes a few seconds time. The advantage with Google Cloud is things are fast here. That's it. See, this is my server, and whatever Linux commands I'm going to teach you, you can start executing those commands here. See, date is a Linux command. It shows that it is November 17th, 3:41 in Iowa. It's not Indian time. The server is created in US Iowa location, right? So it's showing that time and all that. Fine. Now, similarly, once your practice is over, you need to always stop the server, or if you want, you can also delete. Delete means again tomorrow you have to recreate everything from the scratch. Okay, done. Now the last cloud on which I'll show you the same server creation obviously is the Azure cloud. As I said, I recommend you people either to stick to the AWS cloud or the Azure cloud. Better not come into the GCP for the time being. Same thing, you need to have an account on portal.azure.com. This account is free for 28 days, almost for 1 month. They say 1 month, but you can use it for approximately 2 months. 45 days plus it will work without asking any money. After that, they'll raise an invoice. If you don't pay, they'll block your Azure account. Okay, so first 28 days is free. After that, also another 20 days or so, you can use it. 20 to 30 days you can use. Then they'll block your account. Now, I will log in into my Azure account. See, this is the Azure dashboard. And here in the search bar, you search for something called as virtual machines. On AWS, that fellow is calling it as a EC2 instance. Here they call it as a virtual machine. So just click on virtual machine, and already there are 2 servers that I created earlier. Now you need to create a new server. These are the navigations. So click on create a virtual machine. And see, when you create an Azure account, you will get some subscription. 1 month, that subscription name will be given. Then the next one is resource group. What is resource group? See, you are trying to create a Linux server. What does the server contain? It contains some CPU, some hardware, some memory, some storage, all that, right? All the hardware components you are putting under one group name. That group is called as the resource group. So now what you do is create a new. I will call this as Linux resource. Some name you give. And then they are asking you to give the server name. I will give the server as name as Linux server. Any name you can give. It's getting created in which location? East US. If you want, you can change the region to, let's say, Australia or Korea, whatever you want. These are the data centers where, these are the locations where Microsoft data centers are there. Okay. And then which OS it is taking? Ubuntu. And the server comes with 2 CPUs and 8 GB of memory. And okay, I'm just not touching the other components. Then you go into disks, go into networking. In networking, you are supposed to do just one activity. You know what that is? Come to this NIC network security group, click on advanced. Okay. And here click on create new. Click on add an inbound rule. Instead of 8080 port, we will open all ports. For basic Linux, this is not necessary. But when we go into Docker and all those things, these settings become mandatory. Remember on AWS, we added all traffic in the network settings. This is equal to that. And you give some name for this security group. I will call this as some security 3 or something like that. Click on add, click on OK, click on review plus create. This will take approximately 2 to 3 minutes time, and it will create a Ubuntu Linux server on my Azure cloud. The Azure account, when you sign up, they are giving you 28 days free and somewhere around 15,000 worth of services free. And up to 50,000 worth of services, you can use it. Now look at the server that I have created. How much they are charging for every 1 hour? $0.096. 0.09. You're understanding? So for every 1 hour, 15,000 worth of free credits are there. You can use it happily, no problem. Okay. So now I click on create. This will take 2 to 3 minutes time. They're asking you to download the security key. Just click on download private key, and you people will notice that a security key gets downloaded. See, a key called Linux server is getting downloaded in which location? Desktop. You can change it. Okay, for example, I want to download it into the downloads location, my choice. I click on save, and you will see a file is getting downloaded called Linux server underscore key. As long as you have this security file, you can connect to the Linux servers. Okay, server is created. Okay, and it's almost done. It still shows us deployment is in progress. Wait for it to get completed. Yeah. Now you click on go to the resource. You notice there is a server with a name called as Linux server. How do you connect to the server? To connect to the server on your personal computer, we install a software called Git. On your personal computer, you install this software called Git. Just go into Google and there you type what Git download. Git install for Windows. See, this is the Git for Windows. I'm just downloading that. You notice that a particular setup file is getting downloaded into my machine. Install it. It just takes 2 minutes time to install it. Yeah, I think it's downloaded. Let's go to the downloads and check it. This is the file that I downloaded. Install it. Just double click on it. I'm just blindly clicking on next, next, next without even reading what it is. Already some Git related application is opened on my machine probably. Just give me a second.
Crash already.
Yeah, that's what. I'm just checking which application is actually running. Git Bash is no, Git Bash is already present on my machine. I was expecting that it will do a new installation, but somewhere Git is actually not available here, but it got stuck up. One more time, we'll try. See, I just double clicked on it. Okay, fine. Because maybe already Git is present on my machine, it's creating that issue. What I will do is I'll quickly go to my control panel, remove it, then we can try to do a fresh start. See, this is the Git which was already present on my machine. I am trying to remove it first. Then we will do a fresh installation. Generally, this should not happen, but it's okay. I removed it. Now we are trying to do the fresh installations. So we are just accepting all those things and that's it. I mean, it's regular installation, nothing special. It hardly takes 1 or 2 minutes to finish off the complete installation process. Okay, done. Click on finish. Yeah. So online students, I had to restart my computer for that Git installation to finish off. So for a few minutes, I just went out of Zoom. And once Git is installed, please say this, all of you will get an application called as Git Bash. Open that Git Bash. Git Bash is the command prompt using which you can connect to the Linux server. Okay, it's an interface which will help you to connect to the server. The first command you give is CD downloads. What is CD? Change
Change
directory.
the
Why are we going into downloads? Please see, just a few minutes back, I downloaded a PEM file, a security file. That security file name is what? Linux server underscore key.pem. It's present in which location?
download.
Download. Go to the location where that file is there, and to connect to the server, see what I'm doing? I am going to my Azure portal. Go to the virtual machine that you have created. Just a second. Yeah, just go to the virtual machine that we have created. What is the name of the server we created? See, if you go to the virtual machines, you will see I created a server called as Linux server. Just click on that server. To connect to the server, how you do is just click on this option called connect and then click on connect. And they will show you the exact command that we are supposed to use. This is the command. This is the command. Just take that command and paste that command in your git bash. But you know what? This you have to change. Here you have to give the name of the PEM key that you have downloaded. See what is the name of the file that you people downloaded? Linux server underscore key.pem. That file name you have to give. Linux server underscore key.pem. So basically, this command is going to connect from your Windows machine to the Linux server based on the security key that we have downloaded. Okay, that's it. It will ask you, are you sure you want to continue connecting, for which we need to type yes. That's it. The connection is established from your Windows machine to the Linux server, which is running on the Azure cloud. This connection will remain until you give exit. When you say exit, again, the connection will be closed and you will back to your Windows machine. See, when I say exit, it says connection to that particular server, that IP address is closed. One more time, let us connect. Okay. Now, I have shown you all the different ways in which you can create the Linux server. Vagrant, AWS, Azure, GCP. Stick to only one practice. Don't practice all these four. Don't, put too much pressure on your brain. Any one cloud that you are comfortable, that is sufficient. Okay, all these are different ways to create the Linux server. Now let us move into the actual commands of Linux. Already I showed a command called date. Date is a Linux command which will show you the current server's date and time. It seems it is November 17th, East US. I created the server in East US, right? In that location, this is the time and all that. Now, the Linux machines that we have created on the cloud, whichever cloud you are working on, they are supporting only command line interface. They don't support graphical capabilities. For example, on my Windows machine, if I want to create a file, I'll just right click somewhere in my folder. I'll click on new. I will click on file. All these cannot be done on a Linux machine. Everything should be done from commands only. So the command to create a file on your Linux machine is touch. Touch is a Linux command for creating files. Give touch and specify the name of the file. What is the name of the file you want to create? File 1. ls is a Linux command which will show you the list of files which are present in your current folder. Do you see there is a file called as file 1? Touch command created that file. Touch can also create multiple files. I can give like this. Create file 2, file 3 and file 4. So what will happen now? 3 files will be created. Initially we created 1 file. Now it's creating 3 more files. If I do ls, earlier we had only file 1. Now you notice I have file 2, file 3 and file 4. Touch command creates what we call as empty files. Empty files in the sense the size of the file will be 0 bytes. But generally, we create a file because we want to store some data in the file. We create files because we want to store some data. If you want to create files where you can store some data, in Linux, we use a command called as cat. Cat, give the greater than symbol. This is called as a redirection operator and specify the name of the file. I want to create a file called file 5. Okay. When I hit enter, the control goes inside the file. Sorry, see this. What you see on my screen, that is called as the command prompt. What is the meaning of the word command prompt? That is where you give your commands. Some Azure user at the late Linux server, something is there, right? That's what we call as the command prompt, where you give all your Linux commands. Now, when I give the command like this, cat greater than file 5, do you notice it did not show the command prompt? What it means is file 5 got created and you are inside file 5 now. Whatever I am typing, all this is becoming content of your file 5. Whatever I'm typing now, all that is becoming content of your file 5. How do you come out of the cat command? Press Control D. What should you press? Control D. Control D is also called as end of the file. Okay. Now, if you do ls, you people will see that along with the files that you created with the help of touch command, there is another file called as file 5. This file 5 is not an empty file. It is having some data. How do you see the content of the file? To see the content of the file, you can use the same cat command. Don't give greater than symbol. Just give cat, specify the name of the file. What is the name of the file? File 5. You will notice that it shows you the content of the file. See, when you are giving like this, cat greater than, and you are giving some file name, it's creating a file and it is allowing you to enter some data in the file. But if you are simply giving cat and you are giving file name, then what it is doing? It's printing the content. It's just showing you the content that is present in your file. Okay. Now I have a question. See, if I give this command one more time, what will happen? I told you that this command creates a file, but file 5 is already created. What it will do? This command will overwrite the content of the file. What is the old content in the file? A, B, C, right? That content will be lost and you will have the new data that I am trying to enter. See, I am pressing Control D. Now, if you look at the content of the file 5, you see the latest data is there. whatever was the old data, all that old data is lost. If you don't want to lose the data, if you want to append the data to the existing file, then you have to give double greater than operator. Double greater than is called as append operator. Now you enter some new content to the file like this. What is happening? Control D, if you do, you will notice that your older content is there and also the latest content. So three things we have done at command. Let's quickly recall. If you give cat greater than file name, it is either creating a new file, or if the file is already present, it is overwriting the file. You're losing the old data. The second command I showed you was cat file name. Then what it is doing, it is printing the content of the file. It's just showing you what is the data present in the file. The last operation we talked about was cat double greater than file name. This is called as append operator. To the original data, it is adding some new data. That's it. These are the only three operations that you can do with a cat command. Let's say you want to edit a file. In between, you want to enter something. All those things cannot be done with cat command. There you will come across something called as Vim editors. That will come a little later. But for now, just do the two commands you remember. Okay. Next. See, on a Windows machine, what we call as a folder on a Linux machine is called as a directory. Windows lo folder antamu. Linux lo directory. What we call as a folder, here it is called as a directory. To create a directory, the command we use in Linux is
MKDIR.
and specify the name of the directory. I want to create a folder called dir1. Now, if you do ls, do you see? Along with the files that we have created, there is also a folder called as dir1. Directory ante you can go inside the directory. Okay. And again, you can create some files. Like in a Windows, you can go inside a folder, you can create files, right? Same thing. Now, on a Windows machine, within a folder, you can have a subfolder. In that subfolder, you can create one more subfolder. Same thing you can do on Linux also. See, I want to create like this. First, I want to create a folder called D1. Within D1, I want to create a folder called D2. Within D2, I want to create D3. When you want to create a chain of directories like this, the mkdir command of Linux should be used with an option called -p. P stands for parent. Here it will create the parent directory, that is D1. Within D1, it will create D2 like that. Let's hit enter. Gone. Now if you do ls, do you notice there is a folder called D1? If you go inside the D1 directory, there is a folder called D2. You go inside the D2 directory, there is a folder called as D3. Okay. In fact, there's a beautiful command called tree command, which will show you the complete. Okay, it says tree software is not there. I need to install it with this command. Let's try. Okay, that also did not work. Okay, I'll tell these commands. These are software installation commands on Ubuntu servers. We'll see them a little later. Tree is a software which will help you to see the directory structure in a tree-like format. So I'm just installing it. In some flavors of Linux, it will come pre-installed. But in our case, it's not there. So, yeah. So tree on the D1 folder. Do you notice? It shows that within D1, there is a folder called D2. Within D2, there is a folder called D3. Inside D3, there is D4. And inside D4, there is D5. Okay. So this is how you create directories. Files you can create with touch command or cat command. Directories you can create with mkdir command. Now, if you want to delete a file or directory, Linux uses a command called as rm and specify the name of the file or the directory. For example, I want to delete a file called file1. When I do ls, you see file1 is no longer present. Let's try one more time. Rm. This time I want to delete a file called file2. Rm is for remove. It will delete files. That's it. No warnings, nothing. You can see that file 2 is no longer present. I have file 3, file 4 and file 5. Now, on a Windows machine, Windows generally gives you an option. Do you want to delete it? It's more user friendly, right? Similarly, you want to do on Linux, I can give like this. rm-i. I stands for interactive. Interactively delete a file called file 3. Now see, it is asking, do you want to remove the regular empty file called file 3? If I don't want to delete, I will give it as no. If I want to delete, I will give it as Y or yes. You can type the complete word yes. That also will work. And that file 3 has been successfully deleted. RM can delete files. It can also delete directories also. But when you are trying to delete a directory, RM command should be used with an option called -R and delete the directory. Why? Because R stands for recursive. A directory can have subdirectories and files in it. When you delete the parent directory, inside the directory, whatever is there, everything should be deleted. Ante kada? See, on your Windows also, let's say I am deleting this directory. Isn't it true that when you delete the directory, inside the directory, whatever files are there, everything should be deleted? Similarly, on your Linux also, when you delete the D1 directory, inside the D1, whatever is there, everything should be deleted. That is done recursively with the help of an option called -R. Okay, R is for recursive. And you notice it deleted the D1 directory. Okay. RM is for deleting both files and directories. Exclusively, if you want to delete a directory, the Linux gave one more command. People generally don't use it, which is called as RMDIR. But RMDIR works only when your folder is empty folder. If that folder is having some content, you cannot use RMDIR. You have to use a command called RM-R. But if your folder is empty, this DIR1 is an empty folder, there is no data, then I can use RMDIR and you see that folder is deleted. So generally people don't use RMDIR. They always go with the RM-R command only. Okay. So let's quickly recall what are the Linux commands we have seen today. The first one was to create a file. I talked about two commands. One command was touch command, another command was cat command. Cat command is doing three activities. What are those three activities? If you are giving cat greater than file name, either it's creating a new file or if the file is already present, it is overwriting the file. The second scenario I talked about was cat and you simply give the file name. Then what it is doing? It is displaying the content of the file. The third scenario I talked about was cat double greater than and file name. Then it is appending data to the existing file. Okay, so these are the three operations that we can do with the cat command. Next, what is the next command I talked about? To create directories. What is the command? mkdir. And the third command and the last command we have seen was for deleting files or directories, rm. Rm can delete files and directories. But when you are deleting directories, the command is rm-R recursively. Recursively, you should delete all the subfolders and everything. Then you are giving a command called as rm-R. Okay. See, I want you people to focus only on the Linux commands, not on the various types of Linux server installations. Okay. Let's say you, as we have seen in Saturday's class, if you people are comfortable with the AWS cloud, just forget Azure and GCP. Create a Linux server on the AWS cloud and practice all these commands. Or you're comfortable with Azure cloud, create it on the Azure cloud and practice it on the Azure cloud. Now, those of you who are working on the Azure cloud, once your practice is over, here also you need to shut down the servers. See, this is my server. What do? You can click on stop. That's it. Now the server is shutting down. Don't leave the servers. Whichever cloud you are working on, never leave the servers in running condition. Once your practice is over, always shut down the server. That is important. Okay. So I think that is sufficient for today. Tomorrow we'll move into more advanced concepts of Linux related commands. I'll choose any one cloud. On that one cloud only, we'll use this Linux server and we'll just continue. Okay. But you have the option of practicing on whichever cloud you want, because all these are nothing but Ubuntu Linux servers. All the commands remain the same, irrespective of the cloud. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, you can leave. We'll continue tomorrow. Online students, I'll close the meeting if you don't have any questions. Okay. We can continue tomorrow.